welcome once again to It's a Frankly Hairy podcast. I'm your host, Frank Weber. So glad you could join me here in the forest once again for another special and hopefully pretty unique and thought-provoking show. I've got a lot of things on my mind this morning, and I haven't been feeling particularly well. And so I'm kind of going to use this episode this week as something of a catharsis for my troubles, or at least one of my concerns, another observation that I've made. And obviously you're free to have your own opinions, form your own opinions. I'll probably take the entire show talking about this, however, so buckle up. Anyway, one of the things that's weighing me down is this recent tariff thing and the resulting reaction in the stock market. I don't really know where to begin on this. I know I've told some of these stories before on this show. I'm not really an expert on tariffs, which is basically a tax on exported goods. No, I'm sorry, tax on imported goods from other countries. And typically, the experts will tell you, well, of course, any taxes are going to be passed on to the consumer, and then you're going to get higher prices and inflation, and in general, that might not be good for the economy. Makes perfect sense. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert on it. There has been something going on since I was a kid and would take like basic courses. I didn't have many of them, by the way, just basic courses in economics or business. There seemed to be a very universal dislike of tariffs. And I always got this gut feeling as a kid. I told people this before, and, that I'm like, well, are you sure you're correct about your position? Because, when I was growing up in the 80s, people were still fairly patriotic. They were still very much behind our country and feeling like it was the best in the world at everything, whether it's business and producing and selling goods and markets and all that stuff. And I got this gut feeling that I was like, are you sure your position on tariffs is totally correct? Because in the 80s and 90s, we've had a trade imbalance really since, I think some people have said at least since World War II. And back then, Japan was leading us by leaps and bounds in education and producing new and innovative technology and getting it out there for the market and things that were lasting forever, good cars and all that stuff. And so, as a young person or a younger person, I couldn't really tell you why I had that gut feeling against the reaction of the experts on tariffs, but I felt like we had to do something about our trade imbalance. And nobody in our leadership has done that for many decades, it seems like. So last week, President Trump issued all these tariffs, and then the markets have been spooked, and there's a big correction going on in there. The people are losing a fair amount of wealth, and Thursday and Friday in particularly, may happen again today as I record this on a Monday. But then the act of people just going out and selling off a lot of stuff, a lot of their market assets and investments as a reaction to this, not only is bad for long-term investors like myself who aren't really interested in messing with the daily ebbs and flows of the market and whatever financial news comes out. We're just in there for the long term to build wealth, and it's a strategy that seems to work over the long run. But now we're concerned that we're losing our money, and then a lot of other people are panicking and selling and trying to get out of the markets, which doesn't do us any good. Anyway, I think when people react this way, and I've noticed this in the stock market for a long time, I mean, any ups and downs are attributed to a specific reason, like, we're going to raise interest rates, the Federal Reserve, or lower interest rates. Certain things have to happen, but then there's always people reacting to it really very quite emotionally. The maybe even a better result was, or a better example was in 2008, 2009, when we had what they called the Great Recession, and the stock market lost a fair amount of value. Kind of the same thing happened there. Anyway, I could really get into the weeds about more on tariffs and market reactions and everything like that, but I don't know where the bottom is. Very concerned about it. It's one of the things that's weighing me down. And but I do believe that the stock market will rebound, because it always does, and sometimes it happens fairly quickly. There has been, of course, a lot of talk about the market being overdue for a correction as well. But anyway, all this stuff that I'm talking about here, I don't really have a great solution to it. I don't really know whose side to really be on about a lot of it. I don't have any answers. That's actually true for a lot of podcasts and a lot of TV shows. In fact, I mean, we don't really offer any solutions. We just talk about things, and talking about things makes people feel better, right? I'm concerned, though, that this stuff, the reactions to tariffs and the reactions in the stock market, is a symptom of a larger problem in society. Like we're just living in a time where there's just too many emotional people, and too many people who deal with everything on emotion instead of trying to be calmly reacting with reason and I guess you could even say just level-headedness, as it were. I don't really see that a whole lot anymore, and I think it's part of the reason why I have so much trouble. It's not that I am, innocent of not acting emotionally at times. I mean, I do get upset, and I think a lot of people, when they get really weighed down, sometimes it's very difficult to not act out in an emotional way. But I think this has been a trend going on in our society for a number of years now, at least the last 10, maybe 15. There's something just off about the way a lot of things are done now, and I'm not intending to point to any one group of people or to any specific people, in fact, but I don't know where a certain logic and a certain reasoning went on everything, and a certain kind of just dig in to get the problem solved type attitude went. And I don't know. I don't know where everything is going. Life and society doesn't seem to be as satisfying to me because of that. But I don't know how you might feel about it. Thought I had more to say on that, really. I know I had more to say. Let me take a look at my notes here real quick. But I think one of the unintended consequences of it, though, is our society doesn't work as well. I always channel some other podcasters like Adam Carolla, for instance, who is great on talking about these issues and complaining about these issues and discussing all the nuances of everything. But nowadays you have people selling cars who don't know all the features of the cars or how much it might cost. And apparently out in his neck of the woods in Southern California, where my understanding is so many things are run on emotions, there's realtors selling houses that don't know how much things cost or what the features are of the house, or haven't done their research and whatnot. And society and the overall health of people within it are really paying a price. I mean, things just don't work as well. You don't get kind of the service and the value that you expect anymore. I don't know. It's a different world than the one that I grew up in, and in some ways it's better, and In other ways, that's not. And I really wish. I wish people could, I guess, get together, work together in a logical and reasoned way to find those answers and to really, obviously treat people with respect and dignity and love and work to make this a better society. But I get so frustrated. People are so emotional and they're so damn busy. And there's just, I don't know, we're just neglecting a lot of people out there. And I think people can suffer in a lot of different ways that are not very obvious. So let me think of a few examples here. A lot of people in our society, 2025, we seem to think we know what the long-held practice and apparently still practice in some parts of the world. People seem to think they know what slavery is about, right? And obviously it was, still is, like I said, in some places, a terrible institution, people being treated poorly and brutally and not making a lot of, money for work, essentially, although I've had heard that they did get paid a small amount and, may have actually had some other fringe benefits, I mean, if you can call them that, but there's definitely a modern-day slavery that exists in the world. You could have, and I've experienced this for myself, you could have a very high-paying job or something that pays you pretty well above average. What's the figure in the United States? If you're making $30,000 or $31,000 a year, you're actually in the top 1% of earners worldwide. So that's pretty damn good for our country. But what I was saying on the point is you could be paid very well and be miserable in your job and be very fearful of the day-to-day grind, have it take a toll on your health, have it ruin you, maybe have you, excuse me for my tongue-tying, I have that a lot on this show. But I mean, you could have other things happen too. You could have it to where work is ruining your relationships, and overall, while you're getting paid very well, maybe have some good benefits, you're losing out on these other things that you may not be able to get back. And so that, my friends, is a form of modern-day slavery, whether you want to admit it or not. Just like something else that could befall you. I guess you could be in a bad relationship. That kind of sometimes feels like slavery as well, or not having a good amount of balance in your life. I don't think people should be working all the time, I think they need to have recreational activities and such. But anyway, that's an example of a modern-day problem, and I would argue, a lot of that is a form of modern-day slavery, even though it's not the issue that people historically recognize. And anyway, these are just things that I'm trying to get people thinking about and talking about, whether it's the emotional society or having the same problems that really humanity and the world has always had, but they wind up taking a different form, as the last example I just mentioned. In that regard, we really can do better, and I'm just one guy. I don't really know or have a lot of solutions for certain things. I'm just telling you what I observe and what I think, and it's I get the feeling that a lot of us are in the same boat on so many different issues, but we don't really know that because sometimes we're very self-centered, or at least introspective, and we don't really talk or get to know people as well. Anyway, for some reason, that reminds me of the old AT&T commercial, reach out and touch someone. But nowadays, when we live in this world of computers and cell phones and smartphones and all this crazy stuff, it's more like reach out and don't touch someone. So I think that was somebody else's joke from some years ago, and I can't remember who, but I don't want to give myself credit for it, in all fairness. Anyway, I really would like to end the show on a high note, but I really don't have a lot of great things to tell you right now. I happen to be, if you listen to this show for any length of time, I still watch the LPGA and still think it could have a much better product than it does. Disappointing that Lexi retired, but she was seen at the tournament in Arizona about a week ago, and it was great to have her back for a little bit. I would keep my eye out on Charlie Hull, and seems like she's getting a lot of attention. Nice looking woman, cute outfits, has a lot of stories that involve smoking. Cigarettes, I believe, just nicotine cigarettes, but I'm not certain. But she seems to be getting pretty popular. A newcomer that I think could be really good is Natalia Guseva. So I think she's got something about her that I think is really good. So hopefully that league will improve. If you listen to me for a long time, it doesn't seem like it has. And I have a lot of, dreams and desires. I'm going to really would like to try naturism later this year. I think it would do me a lot of good. I think it would be very healthy when the weather improves, which it's been kind of all over the place still here in the first week of April. I'd really like to see that for myself, and when it happens, I'll let you know about it. I'll have an entire show on it. I think it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of great benefits I've heard to it. And until you've tried it, you really don't know what you don't know, I guess. And I still don't know a lot of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap the show up here, and I feel like I've talked your ear off. Hopefully I didn't preach too much, but like always, just tell your friends, family, everybody you come into contact about It's a Frankly Harry podcast. I would really appreciate it. The old saying is sharing is caring. And hit the subscribe button. We already told your family and friends and everybody. Leave comments. Send a direct message. Love to hear from you. I think the thing this morning is obviously leave you with a Christian view, but pray and try to give everything to God and know that He's in control, and He'll be with you and with all of us through all this stuff. And after all, if you've been around living any number of years, you've weathered a lot of storms already. We're still here after the Great Recession from 2008, for instance. So, anyway, well, I hope you have a fine day and a fine week. This is your host, Frank Weber of It's a Frankly Harry podcast, signing off from the forest. We'll see you here next week. Thank you for joining me. Bye. Love you very much.